I drove to Home Depot to get that plywood yesterday and completely forgot that this is not secured yet. I think I'll do that now. Alright, got that in there. Not going to win any awards, but it is screwed and sealed. And these old vans, like this is a 1990, the metal in these things is considerably heavier than newer vans. So if you're doing this, even if you have self-tapping stainless steel screws, the metal's so thick that you're probably going to want to at least put a little starter hole into the metal. And then I just used regular silicone like I've been using on a lot of the van. Yeah, so I already had the 3.5 inch drilled, and I stuck that in there, marked my holes, took it back out, put my starter hole in there with the bit, and then took this and laced the back of it with a good coating of silicone, pushed it in there, and screwed the 3 stainless screws in there. If you ever seen the episode from Chrome where he sat in this van, he just sat there opening and closing the door, opening and closing the door, opening and closing the door, because they're so solid sounding compared and feeling compared with newer vans, just because they were built so much better back in the 90s. And that's why this one's still around. Alright, this stuff actually dries quite quickly to a nice, hard, resilient coating. I like it. Now I'm going to bring out my styrofoam that I had pre-cut and just double check it, and then probably lay it on top of the plywood that I bought and use it as a template for the cuts I'm going to need to make in the plywood, which will be my floor. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to put one sheet this way, and then the rest of it's going to run this way, and I'm actually going to do my cut into a piece of plywood, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to put in a full sheet so that the cut is behind my cabinets, and hopefully be pretty close to the same thing on this side. But there will just be one visible seam in the walking area, which will be where this 4-foot length ends, and then it goes on to the next one. But the seams beyond that will be underneath the cabinet, so it'll just be one seam out there to stub your foot on until I figure out what I want to do for actual flooring. Just popping my sections of styrofoam back in that I've already pre-cut, pre-fitted, and so that I can properly measure out my plywood for my cuts, which I've already started and already made my first mistake, because my what I wanted to do was have this piece come right out to the door, but I accidentally cut it straight off, so I will work something else out there. Not a crucial mistake. In fact, before, when I had my bed there, the bed frame came right out over that little gap, and really didn't make any difference at all before. So I'll have to make it not make a difference this time too. Alright, I just pulled all my styrofoam back out because I just realized I need to mark on my plywood the high points in the ridges, because that's where I want my screws to go through, because I only have 2-inch screws, and this is 1/2 inch. The styrofoam is 1 inch, that's 1.5 inches, so you want 1/2 inch to go through to hold the metal, or hold everything in place. So yeah, so I'm just going to mark on this piece of plywood where the high points are. Make sure everything's lined up. And I will mark it at the top as well. Alright, there you go. Just little marks all the way down. I don't know if you can see that. Just little pencil marks at the top of the center of every rib going down. Alright, I got the floor back in and I got it taped, and so I'm back to the wood. Okay, first piece back in. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is, like, over on that side is likely where the heater is going to go, over there somewhere. Go through the floor, either gas or diesel heater. Probably back there, a gas heater. And so I'm going to piece those two pieces in there, and I'm just going to do one precision cut over on this side, so it'll be this is 76 inches. Once my 4 foot wide was in here, this piece is 4 feet wide and 76 inches long. I'm only going to do one precision cut of 76 inches, and but I think I'm going to skip to a different mode for a second, because I'm going to insulate those with like 1 inch 1 inch styrofoam, and I want it to go right down to the other styrofoam, and I'll tape it off. So rather than have this board go right over to the wheel well, I'm going to insulate that first. Alright, I got that side done enough to be able to put the plywood right up to it. I'll finish the top of it later, and then I got to get working over here. And I do have to get the insulation done on the front and sides of that before I can really securely fit a piece of wood, cut a piece of wood to get in there. Alright, I got all the pieces in there. I pieced all those pieces in there rather than trying to do it in one fancy cut. It's not going to make any difference. They're all going to be underneath cabinets. And it saved a whole sheet of plywood which I can use towards cabinetry. And now I think I'm going to throw a coating of stain on there. I'm sure that'll come back and bite me, but I'm just not sure why, so I go ahead and do it. Yeah. Alright, I got a coat of stain on there, for better or worse. Maybe worse, it's hard to say. Oh well. Right, last night I cut up couple 2-inch pieces of styrofoam. I can't remember if I filmed that or not. Just working exhausted most of the time. Anyway, 2-inch pieces, all 2 of them run vertically because they're only 2 feet wide. So I had to go this way, 2 pieces, but it's all sealed up nice because I won't be using that window, I'm sure. Gotta insulate the top of these now. But anyway, right on schedule. So we just kind of ignore that and get back to work. I was just hoping for a positive word, any kind of a positive word, anything at all. Nope. Alright, got those both insulated all the way around. Done. Alright, during COVID I was retrofitting guitar amps into old radios and TVs. It was pretty fun, pretty cool, learned a lot. I have this radio left over and I've already gutted all the guts out of it. And I've removed this because this is ripped and I want to replace it. But what I want to do is put this on the table saw and see if I can cut it down to a very shallow thing and use it as a door on the main cabinet. We'll see how it goes. Just took a really thin piece of wood I had and cut it up to make a panel for there. Just enough to cover the hole, not really do much more. Undecided as to whether to paint it that horrible blue or to leave it brown. Unsure. I will leave it there for now. Now I'm going to go and try and cut that radio. Alright, looks like we successfully cut through all the braces and everything. The only thing is I didn't cut through is because there's no way to access it, is the center brace. So I'm going to have to use a saw of some sort. Trying to imagine what the value support wise of this is. Anyway, I gotta cut this somehow. Okay, I'm gonna go get the old cabinet, which would have conformed to the old walls, which would have been probably slightly different curves to it, maybe, and try and use that as a beginning template for cutting the pieces for my closet, because building to these back walls is such a pain. Curved walls. Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to get it in here because to tip it back, like before, see, I've lost some floor space because I put insulation in, and I lost some ceiling space because I put insulation in, but it's still tipped in, so it was cool. Problem is, this was over there, and the contours on the back of this thing are really a very little relation to the curve of the van. So I gotta figure things out from scratch. Alright, I got this old piece of had a bunch of pieces of this old I forget, corrugated board, or I forget what they call it, pegboard, and I had one that was long enough that I could cut down to meet the ceiling height. And then I watched a Bob Wells video on how to deal with curved walls, and I don't have a compass or a scribe tool, so I just took a couple sticks and taped them together, and I'm going to try and use this to mark and make this make a template out of this pegboard. Alright, I drew a really horrible line on there with my hack scroll, and it didn't go too bad. I'm going to make a few more little adjustments, but that's probably the best cut I've ever made. So thank you, Bob. Right, about 20 trims later, I'm pretty content with that. So we're going to go with that. And I'm going to lay this on the piece of plywood that will be here, full width, and I will cut it and hope for very similar results, with the exception of taking off the back corner, which will have to happen both because I'm going to put a wire chase through here, and because that back corner will stop the entire cabinet from being able to roll forward. If I wanted to take it out, I would unscrew it from the floor and just roll it towards me, and that will stop it. You won't be able to tip it if you don't take the back corner off. Alright, I laid the template on a piece of wood, and I'm gonna give it a shot at cutting it out. Alright, that's looking pretty snug. Not perfect, but that's the way it goes. Alright, I've got those sized and the depth on them and everything, and they're pretty snug to the wall, best I've ever done, I think. Our door front, and now the shelf that's gonna go right across here, that'll be the bottom of the top closet and the roof to the bottom panel, which will have a sub in it. And so I'm just getting a little bit creative with the shelf. I got it all cut out just so I don't go crazy, do something creative. I found 0, marked out 5 inches. I'm going to take a 3-inch hole saw. Gonna make some hole saw. Take a hole saw, my 3-inch, I think it is, and probably put 4 holes in here, maybe more out there, and maybe some in here. It's hard to say. And maybe one back there. It just takes a lot of the weight, because this is like 3/4 inch or 1 inch, I'm not sure, but it lightens it, and I want to put a piece of plexiglass on top of it so that the lights from the bottom cabinet shine up into the top cabinet. Just extra light flowing around in there. It's all good. Alright, that almost ripped my arm off, but I got 4 3-inch holes in there. And now I'm just debating on what to do next, artistically and weight-wise. Alright, so I may have gone a little crazy. It's hard to say. Or it might just be perfect. Like absolute perfection. It's really hard to say about these things. But lots of light will come up into the clothing closet, which was the goal. And looks super cool doing it. Alright, I just cut up some little panels from just some very light wood that I had, and just sanded the edges a little bit. And I'm going to, like this is the where the wires go through to these little lights on the outside of the some of the G20s. Someday I'll get them working. But anyway, I'm just going to punch some of this fiberglass in there, and then screw one of the panels on there. And all these other little panels, like where the vents used to come through. And now they just hang out of the wall over there. Isn't that great? Alright. Only one left. Got them all stuffed. Last one. I'm not really that good at like stopping, so I think I'm gonna pull that panel out, and I want this side of this panel just to be the dark brown, like the floor. On the other side, like in the inside of this, it should be just like white or light colored, so it's easy to see. And on the outside of that, it'll be something that is relevant to the inside of the van. But this out here just needs to be brown, so I think I'm going to do that right now. Alright, I got that stained. And then I went downstairs and I found some white paint. So I thought, hey, I think I'll paint the inside. I had a little bit of paint left over, so I thought, hey, I think I'll paint the shelf. And then I was out of paint, and I went back downstairs and I found some more white paint. So I painted both sides of the other panel, inside and out. And now I'm done. It's past midnight. So I really should quit. Really should just stop. And I might. We'll see. Are you beaten, broken, destroyed, got nothing left? You've given up and you feel like checking out? Don't. Start thinking outside the cage. So tell me, how do you feel? Have you been handed more than you can deal? Better hit the open road or blaze across the sky if you